Let's talk about gussets. This is My People by Kaneko Yuki, and it has gussets. And in my ongoing love affair with the things that help you have movement in your garments, I figured we could talk about it while I have no sleeves, because it's a lot easier to... You will notice that here, next to my reserved sleeve stitches, we have a triangle, very conveniently located between the two cables to make it even more obvious what's going on. It's almost like she wanted to have a gusset talk. Anyway, we've got this triangle. Now, mine is not quite the way that she wrote it. If you look at the pattern, we'll see if this works. You can see how her triangle is not quite as elongated as mine. This is in part because of a choice and in part because I wasn't paying enough attention, which happens. This part of any garment is the weird area. You've got different fabrics, or the same fabric, but coming in different directions, and there's a whole lot of directions that it needs to go in. And, I mean, you know, fabric is forgiving, but there are constraints. And moving one part of the fabric causes other parts of the fabric to move, and depending on how much ease and how much what have you, if you have a lot of ease, obviously you, to a certain extent, have more movement, but you also have less movement, which is counterintuitive, but true. With this little, what becomes a diamond, it's just giving you that extra bit of fabric, even though the fabric is pretty close to your underarm, but it's giving some width so that you have more range of motion. But because it's coming to a triangle, it's not really affecting the motion of the front or the back of the garment. It's so hard to tell when something is clear or not. Nonetheless, this little triangle gives you a little bit of extra movement, and then you decrease it away because by the time you get down to here, nothing else, there's nothing happening, right? You're no longer in the movement zone, in that area of all the fabrics meeting. It was a thing that was done if you had an old Guernsey, right? The old fisherman sweaters that were very fitted. They really didn't have a lot of ease, but they needed a great range of movement. And if you have no ease and need a lot of movement, you want a gusset. So that you can flail your arms about as you wish. This was constructed with it, obviously. It's in pattern, right? I did not add this. What I did do was modify it a little, in this case, for two reasons. One, I made it regular ribbing instead of the twisted ribbing, just for bulk. Right? A twisted ribbing, because it's less flexible, is bulkier than regular ribbing. This is not as firm, it's more flexible, and it will grow more. So I get a little bit more stretch in case I needed that, which I don't know if I do, but, and then when it's at rest, it's not giving me any extra bulk, because who wants bulk under your underarms? And I don't think it looks weird enough to be, you know, like I was okay with the look. But I also elongated it. And I elongated it because I have been using gussets to cheat a bust dart. I don't know if this is necessarily the best idea, but it works really well for me, so I am still doing it. So basically, because of where I knew the sweater was going to fall, where's the top? So, I knew by the time I got to the split, and I did not do the math for this, I eyeballed it. The distance between where I was splitting and the widest portion of my chest was deeper than where the gusset started to decrease. So what I did was I just did 4 rows. 4 rows before I started decreasing? Yeah, 4 rows to decrease. I did take into consideration the cable repeats because this was going to happen and I needed to make sure that I would have the right number of stitches by then. So I did double check that while doing it. But basically I lowered the decreases so that I wouldn't start decreasing until just above, like, I mean this much above, the fullest part of my bust. And then, as I'm decreasing away, I'm basically making a bust dart. My gusset is becoming part of that bust dart because it's decreasing the fabric down here, where I no longer need all that extra fabric, right? I don't go this way, I come back in. So by simply elongating that gusset, by simply waiting a little bit, and then starting my decreases, I gave myself that extra room so that I wouldn't get pulling around the fullest part of my chest. It worked really well. And the other reason that I did this was because if you look at the project photos, the underarms, I wonder what that was. The underarms pull around a little bit, and that's a good thing, but also maybe not such a good thing. It seemed a little bit too much for me. There just was a little bit too much pull here, and because I started it a little bit later, I don't have that. I have no pull there. So there's no pull here. Now I don't know what's going to happen with the sleeves, but that seems really unlikely that it would pull back in because I've got enough ease going on in the sleeve. So it is coming down, but it's not sort of doing that, right? That because I've started it a little bit later and because of the way my body is shaped, it's A, sitting exactly where I want. The ease is where I want it. My fake bust dart slash gusset is doing its job, and it's coming in obviously and turning into that beautiful side braid, but it's not pulling in any weird ways. It's not constricting me in any way. I don't know why I'm doing that. So that is a little bit more information on gussets and the double duty that they can do, the dual purpose they can serve. They give you more freedom of movement. You can't eliminate your sweater rising up when you raise your arms because physics, but you can minimize it, which is another lovely side effect of the gusset. And can we just take a minute to admire, let's put this in front of the thing, the beauty that is this side detail. The way that the cables become one cable and then split into your hem cable. And it's going to obviously do the same thing, so the cable that's coming out of the back will be the back, just as the cable coming out of the front is the front. And the smush factor. I know this has nothing to do with gussets, but oh, every time I pick up this sweater, it is the smushiest thing. It's just, oh.